My name is Yvonne Chaka Chaka. 6 years ago, I had something happening to me. One of my musicians, Zealand died of cerebral malaria. It was shocking, it was sad, but for me it was a wake-up call because I was also totally ignorant about malaria. And I think her passing made me want to do something. As I said, it was a wake-up call. And since then, I haven't stopped. I've seen faces and places. I've met different women, extraordinary women, doing so much. And that for me, it wants to say there are still so many injustices out there. People sleeping without food, people not having medication, people walking hours or days to go to get medication. This is what prompted me to want to do the work that I'm doing.
How did your childhood and your musical career influence your aid work?
You know, I was born in Soweto, and during those days, it was right at the height of apartheid. A black person was just a black person. We were disenfranchised, we were segregated, we had the worst education. But you know, with a little education that was given to us, we made do out of it. And knowing how it was like not to have food in your stomach, knowing how difficult it was being a black child or a black person in South Africa. When I started singing, you know, for me it was a wake-up call. It was the time for me to start airing my views because I knew things were not good in my country. I knew that with my music I could start airing my views. I could start saying to people, I know things are not good in my country, but with the music, how better way to do it than in a song. So, you know, fighting for the injustices of apartheid and fighting for human rights today, for education, for medication, for health, it's almost the same thing. So my music tallies very well with what I'm doing now.
As MDG envoy for Africa, how do you plan to keep governments accountable to live up to their commitments?
I think it's important that our governments go to these meetings. They have all these summits. Summits do not cure people. Summits are very good for people to be taken into account. Now, for them to say by 2010 we want to have universal coverage, by 2015 we want to have half malaria or maternal health and things like that. Now it's important to go back to those people and say, you had all these summits, you came with these laws, and are you doing what we are supposed to be doing? Governments have to be accountable. Governments should know that they are put in power by those people. So it's important that they must keep their promises. Donors must also not just pledge, keep their promises, and those countries who receive the money use it correctly. So it's important that we do these summits, we go to the UN, we go to the G8 and the G20, but at the end of the day, we must make sure that the people who need help are helped. We need to make sure that in every country, the playing field is
How do you, as the voice for Africa, react to the idea that the Millennium Development Goals are not expected to be met by 2015?
It's actually very, very sad that, you know, the MDGs are not going to be met by 2015. But I can say I'm a very, very optimistic person. You go to countries like Chad, places like Zanzibar, Ethiopia, those countries make me want to wake up every day because there is hope. They've made sure that they've cut down the deaths of malaria. They've made sure that, you know, the child mortality rate is coming down. So, yes, it's upsetting and it's discouraging to know that by 2015 we will not have done what we said we're going to do. But when you go to other countries, you can see hope. You can see that there is some kind of encouragement. So that really encourages me to say, I shouldn't despair. Let's go back and look and say, what didn't we do right? What didn't our governments do right? And say, we're not going to despair. We're not going to sit here and fold our hands. Let's not start criticizing ourselves. Let's disagree to agree and say we didn't do some things right, but we're going to go forward and do them right. Because as I said, if we don't do it now, we are going to be judged by the next generation. And it's important that we do it now for our children. We may call our children our future, but they are for now. We can't do things without them being involved. We need them to be party to this.
What is your new film called and what is it about?
The new film that I've just done, it's called Motherland, the story of African women. You know, as a woman, I really believe women are an ocean, nurturing and strong. And everywhere you go and in everything you see, everything has got an element of femininity. This documentary about women, women of Africa, saying to themselves, if you empower us, we can do things. Now I've become their voice. They are telling their stories. I'm just there to make sure that their stories are being heard by those who are in power. So go to www.princessofafrica.com and see the trailer. And I can tell you now that if you empower a woman, you empower the whole nation. So watch the documentary.